Hi everyone, today we're taking a look at Atelier Rorona Plus, the Alchemist of Orland. I'm joined today by Adam Vitale.
Hey.
Hey, so I pronounced that way. Apparently we just learned how to say the word atelier.
Atelier, it's French apparently for workshop.
Yeah, so now we know
Which,
all this time.
considering what I know about the game, which isn't very much, that makes sense because it has a lot to do with these workshops and crafting and all this, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, of course, the atelier, I don't know if I can do this.
You've been reading it wrong the whole time.
Exactly, all this time. Atelier, it's obviously the very American way of saying it. But, yeah, of course, this series hangs its hat on this robust crafting system that is the focal point of the series. And so today we're going to be taking a look at Atelier Rorona Plus, the remake of the original PlayStation 3 game that came out, not to say this is PlayStation 3 as well, but that came back in 2009 it was released. So the first time that the series appeared on the HD consoles, the first time that they also transitioned from 2D to 3D. So some of the problems with the original title was that it was basically Gus's first time doing 3D. Adam, did you ever see images of what the original game looked like?
Right. I mean, I'm not totally familiar with the series, but I know that there's a lot of titles on the PlayStation 3 now, and this one, or the original, had deformed figures, chibi-fied or whatnot. And then I guess they now updated it to more realistic models like they use in the later games.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to be taking a look at that. So a lot of changes have been made in this remake, but because, of course, it's the first title to appear on the PlayStation 3, it's also what you're going to see is a pretty good way of getting introduced into the series for the first time. And so let's just go ahead and load up a game here. So let me. So I've already beaten this game, of course, and so we're going to just go ahead and hop in here to this menu. We'll have a review up on the site. I'm going to post it with this video, so you guys are going to take a look. As you can see here, there's my clear data. I spent about 25 hours in the game, got to level 44.
And that you beat the game, yeah, so that's not super long.
Yeah, well, the thing about this game is that, so I beat the game, I got an ending, but apparently, I mean, there's a few dozen endings that you can unlock in this game, so right off the bat, there's a lot of stuff that when you go through the story, there's many different things you can do to affect the ending. So this was just one of the endings. As you can imagine, trying to unlock all these endings, we're just going to go ahead and go at the beginning here. So there's a lot of different things you can do in this game, and it adds tons more hours onto the content of the game, the game time. So yeah, let's go ahead and just skip the opening tutorial. We don't need to see that right now. So. Yeah, so here's Rorona, of course, the lead character in the game, obviously. A young girl who basically runs this workshop. She is basically taken on the debt of her parents by having to join this workshop and work underneath Astrid, who is this master alchemist that has built up kind of a reputation, not a very popular one, with the rest of the townsfolk for one reason or another, which you, of course, uncover during the course of the story. This is Sturk. He is the knight of a kingdom. So he basically, before this whole went down, he came in with the bad news that this atelier, this alchemy workshop, is going to be shut down because the kingdom doesn't see the worth of keeping this place open because they want to basically demolish the place and start building up these factories in its stead. So Sturk here, who is, kind of caught in the middle between doing his job as a knight while also feeling bad for Rorona, who wouldn't be feeling bad for her, brings the information about her assignment that she has to do for the quarter. So the game is set up where you have 12 assignments to do.
And so unlike a lot, I know this game is considered, a JRPG, and it does have a battle system, but a lot of the focus is actually not around exploration and battles like a lot of games, but more so these alchemy assignments, right?
Exactly. And so as you can see here, it says that the assignment for this term is to turn in 3 items, Polish powder, Vitale, and alchemy coal. So, and it gives you a due date. And so, just, get into the game. You'll have basically about 3 months to do these assignments. The game is pretty generous of giving you plenty of time to do it. The tasks are never that difficult. And so, yes, the game does focus a lot of it onto the alchemy aspect. And so you'll be doing a lot of, you spend a lot of time basically creating items, creating equipment, doing quests that revolve around making items and going out and finding ingredients, things like that. So
now, how does time pass? I mean, like, is it like a real time counter, or is it like certain actions like cost so many days or whatnot?
Yeah. So just hopping into this right now. Yes, the very big focus is time management skills in this game. So you'll have let me just get through this real quick. And so you'll have so many days to do all these assignments that you're on. As you can see on the top left, I have 78 days to do my assignment for the term. If you don't do the assignment, bad things happen. Now, I didn't really not do the assignment that was given to me, but yes, time is passed in a variety of ways. And so, for one thing, making an item in the game uses at least 1 day. Going out and fighting and going to dungeons and things like that can take anywhere from a single day all the way up to like a week or 2 just to get there. And then once you get inside the dungeon, going from sub-area to sub-area within the place can use time as well. So it is very much a game that hinges on you planning things out before you go ahead and do it. If you don't, you can end up, being under pressure at the very end, trying to do all these tasks, keeping people happy. There's a lot of things. And as you can see at the top, there's just help pages going across the screen. This game, apparently this is kind of new with the remake. There's a lot of tutorials and things like that to make the game a lot easier for newcomers to, jump in and experience without feeling too under pressure.
Are the tutorials pretty, do they do a good job in explaining things without being too intrusive, or?
Yeah. So the very first time you come across a new element of the game, because this is a new game plus, they're not really introducing things to me because they obviously assume I already know all these things. But like the first time you get an assignment, it pops up a tutorial, says, do you want to, view this tutorial? And it's very simple to understand. It just, goes through the very basics about it. But of course, if you want to hop into some of the more complexities of it, if you want to go more in depth, you can, there's this library down here at the bottom that you can go to, and then once you get in there, it has, an item guide, a reference guide basically to know things to create, that tells you all kinds of different things that you can go through. So you hop in here for a moment. There's ingredient items, synthesis items, weapons, armor, so on and so forth, so that way you can get a good description of each thing that you'll need. It also tells you, let me see here. So if we go a little bit further into this, besides just checking out the items, you can also see general descriptions of it. I don't think. Oh, okay. If it tells me here, I can change the page. And so once you get into there, it'll give you a little bit of description. Now, if I had gone through and picked up this item in the past, it'll tell me where I can find it. So it's very much a game that is.
So
the remake is better.
So collecting items is kind of like not just a thing you do. It's like a really big focus is getting like collecting and crafting to. I mean, yeah. What type of items? Like I know you need the items for the assignments and whatnot, but I'm assuming you can make all sorts of things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so, of course, since synthesis is a big thing now, you won't be able to create every single item in the game. There are a lot of items that you have to find out in the dungeons. Some things you'll have to purchase from merchants and things like that you won't really be able to find unless, they can be extremely rare at times. And so you'll save yourself a lot of time. It'll be a lot less of a headache if you just go out and buy some of the ingredients from merchants and, find different ways to extract them from other items. So not to get too complex about it, we'll keep things basic, though.
But there's lots of ways you can get items. It sounds like
Exactly. There's plenty of places.
And I see you can make equipment, ingredients, pies.
Yes, it's kind of funny how these different categories that you have. So, for example, there's pies. I mean, right now I don't have anything here, but it's kind of funny how that is its own category. Yeah, but it's weird how that's its own category. But there's never a point in the game, at least from what I experienced, that is a thing. But because that's basically a healing item, why not put it underneath that? But I guess the game needs to fill out this. There's 2 rows of 5 on here, but anyway.
Makes sense.
So just to give a kind of basic rundown of the.
So I see that it says that it tells me what items I need to make that, and then it says MP used synth days. So it does. So
to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of blanking on the synth days, what that particularly means, but. The MPUs, so of course, Rorona only has one mana pool to draw from. It's the same used both in town, like here, and in battle. So if she uses special skills while in battle, that uses up her mana, as you'd expect, like special attacks, that drains that bar. And so, but making items here at the at this pot, this cauldron, as it were, also uses up mana. And so you have to be very attentive to this meter that you have, so that way if you try to create an item that uses up too much mana and she doesn't have enough, you can either screw it up completely or she just will refuse outright to do it, and so you'll have to find different ways to recover that mana, which I'll go to in a moment here. But it tells you difficulty. So easy peasy, which just means that she is at the right level. So in this game, you'll have an amount of experience that you'll gain from making items, but as you can see on the left, target level for the item 1, alchemy level 1. So that's where
and that level is separate from battle level.
Yes, it is completely separate here. Alchemy level, as you would expect, goes up based on the complexity of the items that Rorona creates. You'll get more experience. The more difficult the items are, the higher the level of the items that they are. And so
and I assume, as your success rate, that higher items might have a chance to fail.
Yes. I actually ended up messing up a few times creating something that was well above my grade. And so, being level 38 and trying to create a level 45 item, sometimes you can cheese it and make that item. Sometimes she just outright fails at it, and you'll end up with a bunch of alchemy dust. So that's sometimes not advised.
Oh, but now I see it says it passes a day to create. I don't know, what are you creating?
So in this case, I'm making a craft, which is basically a bomb. Although a bomb is its own thing, but a craft is basically a small explosive, as you would expect. So it tells you, as you can kind of get a brief look at what you're looking at. Of course, it's supposed to be a picture. Once you make the item, the picture fills in. Yeah, so you'll see what you're making. On the left side, right below that, by the way, news is just the ingredients you'll need to make this item. And so right here, if I could make that item, the top thing would say synthesize, and then look at ingredients and quit. But because I don't have the items, all I can do is look at what I need to have to make this item. On the left side, under make, it tells you, that you can't make any of these items. I can make one out of 0, which you divide by 0, you can't. So this is all you can. I don't have enough enough ingredients to make this item. But if I did, if I made one, yes, 1 day would pass. So as you can tell, like I said, time management is very important here. It tells me when. So
you can't just sit at this cauldron making everything, kind of without thinking about it. So.
No. And if you make multiple items, it obviously, even if you try to make 5 or 6, the more items you make, the more days will pass. And it's very rudimentary. It's very important to keep a close eye on your time. Luckily, it even tells you when you'll complete that task, because some quest that you'll get tells you when they expect that by, and so being able to keep track of that is also key. And yeah, it tells you how much mana you'll use as well on the left side. So actually, it tells me how much MP that I have.
Yeah,
so I have 70 at this time. I'll use up 1, so I'm still good to go. So kind of look at this a little bit. If I move over here to look at the ingredients, yeah, so it says amount required 2, I have none, so I can't make it. But say, for example, I did have the ingredients available. Of course, I could go in, choose any of the items that I can from this particular category of ingredient, and then if I decided that I don't want to use up any of my more high-quality items, I can hit triangle and say I want to synthesize this ingredient completely new. If you're making something that's like for a quest or something, you might not want to use some of your more high-quality items unless it's with somebody that you want to make a good impression with. So that obviously you'll find out more once you get into the game that becomes more and more important. You'll get bigger rewards based on the quality of the ingredients that you use to make certain items. And, as you can see, equip, if you're trying to make a nice piece of armor or a sword or something like that, you'll want to use the items that have the highest level ingredients. And so to break it down even further, actually, I should say, just to go to the very base level, you're taking one item, combining it with another, and creating an entirely new item that takes on the traits of whatever you used before.
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So traits includes things like...
is that attack SX I see?
Yes. Well, that's actually an effect,
okay.
And so that's inherent to the actual item itself.
To the craft, okay.
Exactly, to the craft itself. But traits are like the ingredients themselves that you use to make the items. So, like, traits include things like +5 to strength, regen health, things like that. And then each ingredient that you use comes with a cost level. Now, I actually can. Let me just go down here for a little bit. Let's make a supplement here. So I already have enough ingredients to make a supplement. So we'll just hop in here and excuse me. I'll make like one supplement here. So we have this. We already have made plenty of these. So there's the image of it. And so I already have some items with me. We have, for example, magic grass, which the kind that you want. You want magic grass. So you can see quality level. That goes exactly. That's the ranking of the item.
So you can get magic grass that's not a rank D, or
yes.
Okay.
And so things affected by usually it's the quality.
So let me just make sure it's not like all magic grass is a rank D item or component. It's that you can get different magic grass with different qualities.
Yes, exactly. And so because right now, of course, we're going off of whatever Rorona has in her pack. All these things are level D or rank D, but there's plenty of places that you'll go to where you'll uncover higher quality ingredients, even if they're under the same name. So the higher the quality, the better the rank is, and the higher the level is. So it's all these different things that work together, and then the goal, of course, is to create items that are of the highest quality. So that way you can basically make items that everyone's happy with.
I know you have to make items for your assignment, so you basically turn those in. But why else? I mean, and I assume there's like you can make equipment, right, or for battles. But like, why else are we making items? Just to make them?
So, obviously one of the things is increasing your alchemy level so you're able to create higher quality items. So just by making stuff, you increase your level. So, like, if I just went ahead and used this magic grass here and said, okay, we can look at here and say I can make one. So we already showed that. And so if I made this item here, there you go. All done. And so once we get through this menu here, you can see on the left side, see +1 to my experience, and it didn't use any mana or anything like that. It's weird. That's the first time I've seen it say +0. Usually it's going down the mana, but I guess it's because...
And I see that it used up a day to make that?
Yes. Exactly. So there's 1 day gone to make that item.
Supplement was just like a component for another. It's kind of like a step to making something else.
Exactly. Especially supplements, you'll have a few items that are going to be used in a large variety of.
So you basically use like raw ingredients to make supplements, which are then those are in turn used to make other things. Okay.
Oh yeah, you'll find a lot of stuff is going to be used in that. So we'll go ahead and create that, and then.
Now I see 2 container or 2 basket or.
Yeah. So there's 2 different things that you have. Oh, okay. Now we're just going to be.
Yeah, no, I skipped it. But so, what's the difference between container and basket? Just real quick.
So container is what you'll have at the shop. So you can basically shove everything that you want inside there. You can use it for any of the items you've made, any stuff you've collected while out in the dungeons and things like that. It's all put straight there. But the basket is basically your another word for like your backpack that you take with you when you go into battle and other places like that.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. You can only take so many things with you.
Pretty much. The good news is that later on in the game, of course, your basket will go up, and so I'm losing my throat. Let me drink some water.
Yeah.
And so, like right here, for example, I have a healing salve. And so if I decided that, I needed some healing items with me.
You just bring a couple along with you? Type of thing?
Pretty much. So right here, if I open up the menu, it says 2 basket. And so you can only carry so many items with you. As you can tell with the container, look at that. There's like nearly 2,000 things you can carry. You'll never come to a point where that thing's going to fill up. If you do, you've basically been playing this game a hell of a long time. And so you probably want to, I don't know. The item management at that point, I think they're expecting that you won't ever fill that out. So, you'll have to put these healing salves or healing items into your basket and take with you, because if you don't take it with you when you go into battle, as you can imagine, you're either going to have to rely on anything you picked up while out traveling, or you're basically screwed. And if you try to, and the problem is that because time continues to pass, if you go out there, find out you didn't bring any health items, and decide to come all the way back to your workshop.
So.
Exactly. And so you have to always be aware of those things.
Right.
But, because these items have multiple uses, I never came to a point, even at the end of the game, where I was having trouble with fighting monsters. The combat itself is kind of straightforward and easy. We'll see that in a bit. But, so there's a lot of improvements with Atelier Rorona Plus that a lot of you guys have already seen here. So some of the improvements include, as you can see here, a vastly improved interface. Things are a lot smaller than they used to be. The problem with the original is that everything was big and blocky. They're trying to get used to having everything in a higher resolution. This is something new as well, the fast travel system that comes in from some of the later games.
So you can basically kind of warp to any location in the city where before you kind of had to walk there?
Yeah, the problem with the original is that, so you went to this big overworld map, but it was pictures of the places you can go to, so you basically chose a place and went there. The thing is that you kind of had to put it up to luck if you found out that I need to go here to meet this person and have this cutscene. If you open up the fast travel menu like this, you'll see right to the right of it, there's a picture of somebody there. That means you'll have a cutscene if you go there. So that's important not only for developing relationships with other characters, that there's a friendship level that you'll want to increase to get better quests from them, and that also unlocks more endings and things like that. So you want to do that. You'll have to keep track of those things, and it's a lot more helpful to do that.
Okay, so we've seen a lot of the crafting alchemy side of this, but this is a JRPG, right? There's some sort of combat, or
I don't know what you're talking about. This is not what we agreed to. This is not going to be a travel. But yeah, though there's definitely going to be combat in this game. And so, as it says right here, this world map that's here, it's pretty much identical to the original. It's nothing different. So we'll get over here. So first off, this is Ireland, obviously. The only place that we can access right now is the nearby forest.
And I saw I call it a gathering area, so that's where you can get ingredients.
Yes, as it says here, it contains several smaller maps, and so
I see that it took another day off your assignment.
Exactly. I think, to be honest, I think every place is called a gathering area. It just means a dungeon.
Okay.
It just means that you want to go to these places to collect items for your alchemy. So this, as it says here, once you get into the map itself, the time will pass in between these other places that you go to. So right now, all I have access to this one place, but then once I get a little bit further, there'll be more places that I can log that passes more time as a result.
Okay.
So, now we're into the actual area itself. Now, the visuals have been slightly improved. You can already see, let's talk a little bit about the character model itself of Rorona. So, as you were mentioning before, the models are far more realistic to their 2D portraits that they are. They actually brought the original artist back in to supervise all of this. They actually, if you haven't seen what Atelier Rorona looks like, they actually ditched the original artist and got with a brand new one, and now he's the guy in charge of Ayesha, Escanlaji, and then the upcoming Atelier Shali. So they brought the original guy in to keep track of this stuff, make sure it looks good, and so the character models look very good. I think, especially on this big screen. I'm watching this on a TV right now, and so it definitely has a lot more detail.
Yeah,
than the
before
original
they
parts.
were chibi-fied, so right now you passed something with an icon. Now there's another.
Yeah, so these are the gathering spots, or the where you can collect items and things like that. And so this is the very identifiable locations, just hovering off the ground here. So I go in here, here's some items that I can pick up. It's very easy enough. It tells me.
Takes up room in your basket, so.
Yeah, you can decide whether to pick it up or not. And as you can see over here, trait quality level 1. And so this is an example of an ingredient that has a trait that I can carry on if I decided to synthesize a new item. So quality level 1 just basically, as it says, levels up the quality of the item that I make at the end of it all. So that's important, obviously, for making better items that bring you better rewards. And so we'll go through that, and level 2 item as well. So, and one of my assignments for this term is to collect a bunch of to go to each of these collection spots, gathering spots, and pick things up. But we're just going to go ahead and continue on here.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and it's pretty much like that. You'll be doing a lot of this, is going between areas, unlocking more locations and things like that, more sub areas, and going out. Everything's pretty much straightforward. As you can tell, I've gotten all my money from my original playthrough, so I have over 85,000 to spend here. But here's the little mascot character, this little blue blob thing that I'm just going to go ahead and
It's kind of like a slime, only not.
Pretty much, and of course, like Persona, you have initiation of attack, so you can attack it before it hits you, and you can. You have the initiative.
Yeah,
that's probably the better way I should say.
Yeah, so you have an extra attack at the beginning or whatnot. Okay,
exactly.
So it's turn-based, clearly. I'm just taking a look at the interface. What do I see here? So on the right, there's your turn order, I guess.
Yep. So that's the sequence order. So you'll be using that to basically control the flow of battle. So as you can tell, Rorona is first. The enemy is second, and my best friend Cordelia, who's with us in this battle, she is sitting over there in third because her agility isn't high enough, RPGs and all that stuff. So if I wanted to, I could decide to defend myself and get next to Cordelia, so that way if we wanted to line up attacks and things like that, we could. I could... If I wanted to do something like that, that's important later on, especially if you want to land a bunch of attacks before another enemy.
Yeah, I see on the bottom next to Rorona's portrait, there's it says one assist, so they can kind of assist each other if their turns are close to each other. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So basically, the assist gauge that it is right there at the bottom, that fills up as turns pass, basically. And so if you don't perform any special moves or anything like that, that assist bar continues to go up. But if you decide at one point that you do want to pull out a special skill, say, for example, you have that gauge up to 5, if you have you and somebody else go on, you can basically, Rorona has to start off with her own attack. No one else can start off without her. She has to start the combat herself. And by landing an attack, the other party members can go ahead and do a follow-up attack after her.
Okay.
So it's basically like this just one after the other.
Like
if you want to
chaining.
deal massive amounts of damage.
And I see she has like a normal attack, and then she has like some skill she can use that costs MP that does more damage or whatever.
Yeah, but the thing is, you don't really want to be using skills with her much at all because,
use
as
MP
you can see,
use MP in the crafting, right?
Exactly. And the thing with Rorona is that she is the only person who can use items. So, being the alchemist that she is, and so basically you'll be using her mostly for just using items and dealing out like damage, while also being pretty much the main healer. I mean, you'll have a character later on that can heal as well, but you'll be using her for the most part for all those things. And
you can have 3 people in battle, it looks like.
Yes, exactly. You can have up to 3 characters in battle.
Any sort of switching out, or...
No, you basically what happens is that while you're in town, you can decide to basically grab
that you're leaving with. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So let me go ahead and just get through these enemies here, and then I'll show you a little bit about what that's going to look like. So Cordelia, of course, with her fist attack, like she has, drumming on the body of the little blue slime. So at the end of battle,
pathetic. You just beat him up.
Yep, exactly. That's obviously the lowest peons. You keep the equipment that you have from the previous game. Previous
like game plots are overpowered. Yeah.
Exactly. Like my level resets and all that stuff, but I have all the money that I earned, the equipment that I gained, all the recipes that I picked up, and all that stuff. So, yeah. So it tells you what I earned, and then once you complete it, you get ingredients, of course, and things like that. And once again, one of the things is that goes towards my assignment for the term. So
I see you had some stars that like appeared. So those are like different assignments.
Exactly. So let me get through this first. And so when you decide to bring in party members into battle, so there's about let me try to think about like there's a number. There's about like almost a dozen different characters that you can decide to take with you into battle. And so you have to pick them up while you're in town. And so each of these characters comes with a price. And so they expect a payment in return for having you take them into battle. Cordelia, since she's our best friend, she doesn't expect a payment in return, so she's cool with just, hanging out for the meantime. She's very tsundere. So she wants to hang out. She doesn't want to admit it, but she wants to hang out with you. But other characters that you'll get along the way, including like some of the merchants in the game and some of the other characters. Like, for example, you can actually have in battle for the first time in this remake, you can bring Esti, who is the secretary at the kingdom that we'll see in a little bit, and Astrid, who's the master alchemist that runs the shop.
And that's new to the Plus version?
Exactly. It's brand new to the Plus version. You can have them in battle, but as you can tell, the higher their level is or the higher their strength is, the more they'll cost to bring them in. But they only collect money at the end of the term. And so the point is that you're going to be making so much money from fighting monsters and selling items and doing quests and things like that. That never really becomes a problem. As you can see here, towards the beginning of the game, money can be a big issue. But as time goes on, like in most RPGs, you'll soon find out that you'll have so much money you don't know how to use it at all. You'll mostly be limited by the items that you don't have in your possession.
Yeah, now I see that the producing sundries request is like, that's the required one. That's the one you have to do within that time limit of like 70 days. But then I noticed like blue puny subjugation. That was I saw that pop up when you beat that enemy group. So there's like these like mini quests that I assume like reward you with items or money or.
Yeah, so the way this is also kind of different from the original in that in the original it was more that you pretty much had one big goal and there was not much else you can really do. I mean, there were some other optional things you can do and some quests and things like that, but you were mostly left up to do the main story, at least with Sturk, that knight from earlier, who gives us our main quest for the game. So, completing assignments basically advances the story.
Yeah.
So you can see here, the most important thing is that we'll need to progress by finding these items and giving them to Sturk at the kingdom. And so the good thing is that it's very lenient about that. So as you can see there's 3 stars filled in. Not filled in, but they're silver, which means that that you'll need to at least have this much before you can advance the story. And, at the end of the term, your review will come up, and obviously the more stars you have, the better your review is. And as you can see there, it also tells you the variety of the type of items that you use to use this evaluation, and the number that you gave to Sturk goes up as well. So if you max that out, that stuff's, of course, important for people who are trying to collect trophies and earning bigger rewards and things like that. But, going down to some of this other stuff that's down here, these are a bunch of optional quests that you can do that range in a variety of different things. Like, as you mentioned, Blue Pony Subjugation, which just basically means killing a bunch of those blue slimes. And also, throwing items, as you can see, they're healing your allies and things like that. So we'll take a look. And so if you look at heal your allies over here, as you can see there,
you get vouchers, like all the rewards seem to be vouchers.
Exactly, and so vouchers are important because once you go back to the front desk at the kingdom, which is basically the quest counter, there's an option to redeem these vouchers to basically buy a variety of different super rare items that are available there. Also, stronger weapons and equipment, but also an armor. And also costumes that you can use to change the look of Rorona and other playable characters in your party. And so that becomes a pretty cool thing to have. But new to this game is the ability to have this bingo card. And so, as you can see, it's a 3x3 grid that is new to this game that encourages you to go out and complete all these optional quests, because by doing so, as you can see here,
what are the different red circles? Those are the different stamps or whatever?
Yeah, so by completing a specific task that Sturk gives you, one of the optional tasks, you get a stamp in return. And so he just asks you where do you want to put it. So you have the option of putting it wherever you want. So if you want to quickly get, say, an alchemy staff, because weapons and armor are kind of hard to come by, you'll end up with the same equipment for
just
hours
3 on the right.
Yeah, you'll decide you want to put 3 stamps there. The stamp in the middle, the crown right there, that's, of course, your main goal in the term. If you collect that, you'll need that in order to basically hit through a lot of the other stuff that's featured on the bingo card. So it's a great, I think it's one of the best features in the game.
That is kind of neat. Your rewards that you get are kind of generic, and then you can kind of choose which ones you want to redeem. So
yeah, exactly. And then as you can tell, if you decide you want to put, if you get the stamp in the middle and you basically fill out the edges, once you hit that middle stamp, you'll hit the right diagonal, the left diagonal, the vertical, the horizontal. Yeah. So and as you can see, it unlocks recipe books like making cannons, as it says
equipment,
up on the top.
Stats, so
yeah, more a coal, which is the currency in the game. Yeah, so it's if you want more money. Stat boosts are also pretty nice, especially because, like I mentioned, as you can kind of see in the battle, that the characters don't have much health, and so a few well-timed hits, you'll be in the red.
Especially early on. And one thing I like, just this game in general, it's, this is the series that I was I've heard of it, and, I kind of knew it was there, but I didn't really know much about it. The structure is really different from other games. Rather than, you start in one area and kind of progress through, area after area and kind of in a story, it seems very it's all centered around your alchemy workshop here, I guess your atelier, and you kind of just go out to these.
Are we going to keep going with that?
You just go out to these different areas, and I assume you unlock more areas, of course, but like just to get new items and meet new monsters for new items or whatnot. So the structure is a little different.
Yeah, especially the good thing about this
and with the focus on like the crafting and with the time limit. I can see why that might not be for everybody, but it's definitely, something, unique about the series, I guess, that it doesn't seem like anything else really comes close to that. So,
yeah, I think that while a lot of RPGs try to go very grand in their scope and try to go epic, quote unquote, with their direction of the story, Atelier, the series has always been kind of a little bit more low key. More like slice of life kind of thing. It's more about the relationships between the characters and the alchemy system that is basically the focal point of the entire game. So that's for people who are more interested in these relationships and the growth of the characters themselves. This is definitely the type of game that you'll enjoy. At least I really enjoyed it, and I put a lot of emphasis on that. In the games that I like to play myself, when the story gets too grand in scope, I start to lose it.
So these stories are very lighthearted, it seems. We haven't really seen a whole lot of it, but it's sounds like it's like just more slice of life, with more not so fantasy, like in terms of the conflicts or whatnot. Just very very simple.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the best parts of Gust's game is the fact that their music can be pretty much outstanding. The soundtrack to this game is really good. There's a lot of very memorable tracks and music that you'll just enjoy hearing. But one of the coolest features in this game as well that I wanted to also mention is that Gust put this in, and this is something that they put in some of their later games, the ability to change the music to certain areas by using tracks from other games in their library. And Gus, basically the games that they put out. So, for example, if I wanted to say, I want to change the music in this game, I want to say, well, here's all the games that they have. So I can go through all the Atelier games, the Monica Mia games, even some of their later titles, even the stuff that was never localized. Atelier Mary and some of these other titles, they never came out to the West. They don't even have fan translations, and so.
But you can basically you can basically pick different background tracks for different areas to, just change them up because you want to.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can go through all this music. You could just, you can kind of just listen to it if you wanted to. But, what if I wanted to say, have my workshop music sound like Nefertiti from Monica Mia, like this epic rock track that is used in some of the key moments in the game? I could just run around town listening to this all day long, and that's okay because the game encourages it. So I think it's pretty amazing while it does that. So I just like that. I think it's kind of cool how that when you go into some of these things, they show pictures of what the game looks like, and so it's kind of like a little bit of a marketing thing as well. Like you might want to go back and check out some of these games and learn about them, and basically experience it more. And it's cool because some of these games have these huge tracks. Huge track listings, while some of the other ones, they don't have every song of the game, but you'll get a pretty good variety, so you'll get to enjoy it.
I think pretty good, just like in terms of the fan service, in just, for people who play these games, or you're familiar with them, just kind of throws a bone to those, to the fans who buy these. It just seems like a really cool thing for them to do.
Yeah, exactly. This game is completely packed full of content. It's a great way to get people who already bought the first game to be interested in buying this new version because it has a lot of new stuff in it. So, for example, it has additional cutscenes to develop characters that in the previous game, the previous version of the game, were very underdeveloped. So they have that. They have more playable characters. They have that feature where you can change the background music. They have, as you can see, a decorate, so you can actually decorate the look of the atelier itself, the workshop. A dressing room to unlock all these different costumes and things like that are kind of silly. So It's got a lot of that, and then there's even this theater option in the extras menu on the main screen. If you check back at the main menu, which we'll go in a minute, you can look at any of the cutscenes that you saw in the game, and it includes the ones with the 2D portraits, while also any of the movies and all that stuff. And you can there's like a character model viewer. There's all kinds of stuff that this game has with a lot of improvements, and so it's basically they've put a lot of.
And considering like this is. Now, from what I'm familiar with, there's, like we just saw, there's lots of Atelier games earlier, but this is like a remake of the first on PlayStation 3. But it incorporates like a lot of improvements from the later games. So it seems like if you wanted to try out this series, this is kind of obviously the one to try to start with. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This game, I'm gonna post a review, and we're gonna put this video with it, but. I basically say the same thing in my review, is that this is definitely going to be the best entry point.
This game is on both PlayStation 3 and Vita?
Yes. I'm reviewing the PS3 version. I did not get to try the Vita version. I heard there's a few issues with like frame rate issues and things like that because the Vita can't keep up in some of the more busy spots.
Yeah, from what I've seen, this one seems to be pretty good with loading times and whatnot, so...
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I think that translates to the Vita version as well. But from those who mentioned the stuff about the frame rate issues, apparently it's almost unnoticeable. It's only if you're really paying attention, but at the same time you kind of forgive it because this game is built in such a fashion that it's more enjoyable in small doses. Battles are quick to get over with. You'll make a few items and things like that and quickly stop. While reviewing this game, I could pop in before going to work and just play a little bit and leave, and I never felt like I was under any time pressure. Like, I got to get to the save spot. There's a lot of places you can save the game. Yeah. It's you can save on the main map. You can save at the town anytime you want.
Well, that's neat.
It's very much a very laid back game for sure.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like I mentioned this earlier, but just something a little different, than a lot of the other games out there. So calling it a JRPG is like that's not really enough to describe it because it seems to be very has a lot of things that nothing else really, or at least not to the same extent that Atelier does in terms of its crafting and whatnot. So.
Oh yeah, it's a very robust game, and there's a lot of stuff here. You can see network load. The game supports cross save, and so if you own both the PS3 and the Vita version, you can save up to the network and then load the game on your Vita and play it there. So that's a pretty amazing feature on itself. And as I was mentioning here, there's an art gallery you can go through. I'm not going to open these things up just because there's probably some spoilers. Yeah. Oh, there's a ton as well. I mean, if you wanted to kind of check it out, if you go into say like the art gallery or something like that, yeah, you can go
event
models, stills, backgrounds,
music and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool that you can kind of check out like these little portraits and things like that. So it's something as simple as this. It seems kind of silly when you think about it going through that.
Yeah.
Just see, and basically this is what you experience if you mess up on an item and things like that. It's very much that type of game. So
Rorona troubled, Rorona serious, Rorona surprise,
yeah,
special.
And there's even you can go through bonus and they have like artwork from the game and things like that. So it's very much a game that is like I said is full of stuff that you can do. A lot of extra content for people who already own the original game and want to jump into this. But it's like I said, it's a great entry point for people new to the series. There's because this begins the trilogy that is already available on the Vita. With Totori Plus is already out, Maruru Plus is already out. So once you're done with this game, if you're interested, you can go buy those other two and try those out. So it's a great way to start that, and then continue on if you want to.
Like
exactly.
So from what I understand, there's basically 5 games out on PS3, and then there's another one coming, and they're kind of like 2 separate trilogies. And this is
exactly
the first,
so yeah
the first
exactly so this is the Arlen series right here, and so you have those first 3 Rorona, Totori, Maruru. That's the order that they go in, and then the next set is the Dusk series, which is Atelier Aisha, which is already out. there's a beta version out for that game. Hopefully it's going to be localized soon enough. Escalade, which just came out here in the West this past spring, that I got to review and had a hell of a time with. I really enjoyed that game. So you can continue on if you want with those as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this is a pretty good look at Atelier Rorona Plus. It's already out. If I'm not mistaken, the game is $50 on the PS3, $40 on the Vita. So it's at a good price for the type of game that it is. Definitely consider picking it up. Like I said, my review is going to reflect that I had a lot of fun with this game. And I feel that they did a really good job doing a huge overhaul of the original title. When I played a few hours of the game when it first came out, I was really put off by the look of the models and how big the game could be, how difficult it was to get items that you wanted to make to complete assignments. This one does away with a lot of that, streamlines it, makes it a lot more simpler to understand. It's a pretty good place to begin Atelier, especially because if you go back too far, some of those earlier games didn't age too well, but with Rorona Plus, they made sure that it's fit for the modern era for sure.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for showing this. This is, like I said, this is a series I've kind of been curious about because I've heard about it, and it seems to be since they release a game every year now. I've seen it's got its own little following of fans, so I was kind of interested in seeing more. So thank you for showing it.
Yeah, no problem at all. I was happy to explain this game. I learned a lot from this game. I learned a lot from Escalade, and I'm basically ready to play more of the series, and so I'm excited to check out some of the other games, and we'll be talking about that too as well. And we hope to do more of these types of videos. I had fun explaining this to you, so I hope that other people that are watching this video got to understand more of what the Atelier series is about. So, yeah, thanks a lot for joining me, Adam. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Bye, everybody.